Check stop, the encounter. When Ousmane Démbélé decided to stop at a small suburban carrefour on the outskirts of Paris after a long day of training and interviews, he never expected to change someone's destiny. Yet, that's exactly what happened when he noticed Leila Bouaziz, a cashier with red, tear-filled eyes she was desperately trying to hide as she scanned a customer's items. What made this football prodigy pause? To pay attention to the sorrow of a stranger? How could a simple rough day trigger a chain of events that would transform not just one life, but hundreds? This extraordinary story of compassion, second chances, and unexpected connections began under the cold neon lights of a nearly empty supermarket. Leila's eyes were burning. The flickering lights only worsened her headache. She fought hard not to break down. It wasn't the first time Mr. Leroy had threatened to fire her. Her little brother Nassim was sick. The neighbor who usually watched him wasn't available. Leila had waited for their mother to return from her hospital shift before running to work, without eating, only to be scolded again. And there, between 2 boxes of cereal and a roll of paper towels, Leila tried to compose herself. A tired customer gave her a sympathetic smile. "Paper or plastic for the bread?" she asked, her voice cracking. "Plastic, sweetheart." Her gestures were automatic. Her mind elsewhere. She thought of the rent, Nassim's asthma, the second job she had lost. Midnight was approaching. She couldn't take it anymore. "Next customer, please," she said flatly. A man stepped forward, black t-shirt, baseball cap pulled low. Batteries, a notebook, energy drinks. Leila didn't even look up. But as she reached for a fallen pack, a tear dropped onto the scanner. "Sorry," she whispered. "It's okay," replied a soft voice. She looked up. Under the cap, that face, those eyes. She recognized him instantly. It wasn't just any customer. It was Ousmane Démbélé, PSG's winger. The French international. He was right there in front of her. Tired but present. She thought she was dreaming. 354. She scanned the items with trembling hands. Was it really him? Why would he talk to her? "Did you find everything you needed?" she asked. "Yes, thank you." His eyes didn't leave her. She fought to stay calm. "That'll be €23.47. He handed her his card. The name confirmed it, Démbélé. Oh. She returned the card, avoiding eye contact. Another tear betrayed her exhaustion. "Receipt in the bag?" "I'll take it." Their fingers brushed. A spark. "Have a good night," she said, hoping he'd leave. But he didn't move. He stood there looking at her, not with pity but genuine concern. "Rough day?" he asked. She was caught off guard. No one ever asked her that. She was about to give a polite response, but something stopped her. Something in his gaze. She let her guard down. "One of those days, yeah." He nodded. "Sometimes those days feel like they'll never end. But they always pass." Simple words. But true. Time moves forward. Even when we don't believe it. Leila blinked. This felt different. He understood. "Next customer, please," the automated register announced. A woman was waiting behind him. "I should let you get back to work," he said, slipping the receipt into his pocket. But he hesitated. "Is everything really okay?" She broke. The words came out all at once. Nassim's asthma. The €85 for his medicine. The rent. The lost job. The broken-down car. She suddenly stopped, ashamed. "I'm sorry. You didn't come here to hear all this." But he had stayed. He had listened. "What's your brother's name?" he asked. "Nassim. He's 8. And it's just the 3 of you?" She nodded. "My mom works night shifts." She spoke of Madame Ben Ali, the neighbor. Their survival routine. He listened, really listened. Then he said, "Actually, I think this is exactly why I came." She frowned. "I grew up in Evreux, in a neighborhood where everything felt heavy. One day at a time. Sometimes 1 hour at a time," he added. Then looking at her. "You're doing better than you think. Nassim is lucky to have you." She felt something loosen in her chest. He pulled out a receipt and a pen. Wrote a number on the back. "Call this tomorrow. Tell them Ousmane Démbélé asked you to call about the Projet Renaissance." 11:02, the story continues. The rest of the story unfolds with Ousmane Démbélé in place of Zinedine Zidane. The meeting on the Champs-Élysées, the Foundation Démbélé, support for Nassim, a new job, a new home, and Layla's transformation, until she herself becomes a key figure in the expansion of Project Renaissance, Phase 2. Layla took the folded paper with trembling fingers. Project Renaissance? She asked hesitantly. Just a name, Ousmane Démbélé said with a sly smile. But call please. I think we could really help each other. Before she could ask more, he picked up his grocery bag and walked off down the nearly empty Carrefour aisle, his figure slowly disappearing under the cold lights. Layla watched him go, frozen. The paper still clenched in her hand like a talisman. Had she imagined it all? Had Ousmane Démbélé really spoken to her? Had he really taken time to listen? She carefully unfolded the receipt. 10 digits, clearly written. No name. No company. No explanation. A voice pulled her back. Ma'am? Are you open? A customer was waiting. She startled, slipped the paper into her jacket pocket and returned to her work. But for the rest of the night, her hand kept checking to make sure the paper was still there. While scanning items, a question kept spinning in her head. Why me? Why would a famous footballer stop that night? And what was this Project Renaissance? By midnight her shift was over. She stepped out into the cold air of St. Denis, crossed the parking lot, and sat in her old 206. The image of Démbélé replayed over and over in her mind. At home, everything was silent. Her mother was asleep. So was Nassim. She peeked into his room. He was curled up, his inhaler by his pillow. Before going to bed, Layla stood in the bathroom, pulled the receipt from her pocket and read it one last time. She whispered to her reflection. Tomorrow? I'll call tomorrow. Even if it was a prank, even if it led to nothing. She had nothing to lose. And maybe, just maybe, everything to gain. Layla wasn't sure what she hoped for. But Project Renaissance sounded right. She placed the receipt gently on the bathroom sink, brushed her teeth slowly, then slipped into bed next to Nassim. He was breathing softly. Regularly. For the first time in a long time, she allowed herself to dream. Her eyes stayed fixed on the ceiling. What if it was real? Maybe it was nothing more than a kind, wealthy man. Or maybe it was something else. She closed her eyes. And for the first time in a long while, she dreamed. The alarm cut her sleep short. 6 a.m. Layla jumped out of bed, careful not to wake Nassim. She headed to the kitchen. The fridge was nearly empty. Still, she managed to prepare a Nutella sandwich and a slightly bruised apple for her brother's breakfast. He woke up coughing. She brought him the inhaler immediately. Feeling better? She asked, placing her hand on his back. Nassim nodded. His brown curls bounced. He looked so much like their father, especially around the eyes. Do we still have cereal? Not this morning, sweetheart. Toast today. We'll buy cereal on Friday. While he was getting dressed, Layla stared again at the receipt lying on the table. It was hard to believe what had happened the night before. A famous footballer. A cashier. A number scribbled on the back of a receipt. And yet, there it was. She was holding it. After walking Nassim to the school bus stop, she returned to the apartment. 2 hours left before her next shift. She sat down, took a breath, pulled out her old phone, dialed the number, with shaking fingers. 1 ring. 2. 3. Then a calm, clear voice. Office of Mr. Démbélé, good morning? Layla froze for a second. Hello? Is someone there? Yes. Hello. My name is Layla Bouaziz. I work at the Carrefour in St. Denis. Mr. Démbélé told me to call. About something called Project Renaissance. Silence. Then the voice softened instantly. Ah yes, Ms. Bouaziz. Mr. Démbélé told us about you. Would you be available for a meeting today at 2 p.m.? Layla's heart raced. I have a shift at 3. No worries. We can contact your employer. Please come to 71 Avenue de Champs-Élysées. Bring an ID. And, if possible, your little brother. My brother? Yes. Mr. Démbélé specifically requested it. After hanging up, Layla stood in her living room, the phone still pressed to her ear. What was happening? Layla ended the call. Her hand trembled as she held the phone. She paced back and forth across the small apartment. Her eyes landed on the family photo on the wall. Her and Nassim, their mother, tired but smiling. Why would Ousmane Démbélé want to see Nassim? She searched online. Ousmane Démbélé Project Renaissance. Nothing. Just football articles, training photos, old interviews. No foundation. No project. But he had said, I think we could really help each other. She called Madame Ben Ali for advice. My child, said the old woman without hesitation, when life opens a door for you, even if you don't know what's behind it, you look. You open it. You walk through. At noon, Layla called Nassim's school. She got permission to pick him up early, claiming a family appointment. Then she took a quick shower, ironed black pants and put on her blue blouse, the one she saved for interviews. She added a touch of makeup, tied her hair and dabbed on a bit of perfume. This wasn't a normal appointment. This might be a turning point. At school, Nassim was surprised, but thrilled. Where are we going? He asked, his backpack bouncing on his shoulders. We're going to meet someone who might be able to help us. Really? How's he gonna help? Layla hesitated. I don't know yet. But he's kind. Is he a doctor? Not exactly. He's a footballer. Remember the man from the checkout line last night? Nassim's eyes widened. That was really Ousmane Démbélé? Yes. And he wants to see us. They drove toward Paris in silence. As they got closer to the center, the streets became more elegant. Fancier cars. Taller buildings. Layla parked her old 206 between two shiny SUVs. They got out. Big sis, are you scared? She squeezed his hand. A little. But sometimes being brave means doing something even when you're scared. They walked through the large glass doors. A small sign read, Fondation Démbélé, Project Renaissance. The lobby was modern and soothing. Polished concrete floors, walls covered with photos of young people. Playing football, learning, smiling. A young woman with a neat ponytail sat behind a curved white desk. She smiled warmly. Hello. Welcome to the Démbélé Foundation. You are? Layla Bouaziz. I have a 2 p.m. appointment. The receptionist's smile widened. Of course. We've been expecting you. You and Nassim. She winked at the little boy who gripped his sister's hand even tighter. Please have a seat. Someone will come get you shortly. They didn't wait long. A tall woman in a gray suit approached them. Miss Bouaziz? I'm Sarah Dubois, Mr. Démbélé's executive coordinator. Thank you for coming. She guided them to a discreet elevator. Magnetic badge. Top floor. Is this your first time in central Paris? Yes, said Layla, placing a protective hand on Nassim's shoulder. It's beautiful, the little boy added, his eyes wide. The elevator opened into a bright hallway. Photos from around the world. Children. Smiles. Oh. At the end of the hallway, a large wooden door. Sarah turned to them. Mr. Démbélé will see you now. She opened the door. The office was spacious but simple. Large windows revealed a view of Paris. The Eiffel Tower in the distance. Behind a modest desk, wearing a gray sweater and jeans, Ousmane Démbélé stood up as they entered. He offered his hand with a genuine smile. Layla. Thank you for coming. Then he knelt down to Nassim's level. And you must be Nassim. I've heard a lot about you. Nassim nodded shyly. Are you really the player? Démbélé chuckled. Yes. But today I'm just your friend. Please have a seat, said Ousmane Démbélé, gesturing toward the comfortable chairs around a small coffee table. Layla sat down carefully, still holding Nassim's hand. Sarah Dubois quietly closed the door behind them, leaving them in a sunlit room. Démbélé sat across from them, leaning forward, hands clasped together. Layla. That night at Carrefour, I didn't see just a tired cashier. I saw a strong woman. Brave sister. A strength that can't be taught. Layla lowered her eyes, moved. You know, I grew up without much comfort too. He said softly. In Evreux, in a neighborhood where every day felt like a silent battle. I recognize that look. I've worn it myself. He handed her a folder. On the cover, Project Renaissance, Démbélé Foundation. Inside, several documents. A job offer. Subsidized housing. Health coverage. A partner school for Nassim. A continuing education program. This isn't charity, he said gently. It's a partnership. We want to offer you something you've never had before. A real chance. In return, you'll help other women, other families. Layla flipped through the pages stunned. A decent salary. Working hours that matched Nassim's schedule. Full medical coverage, including asthma treatments. She looked up, tears at the edge of her lashes. Why me? Démbélé smiled, not like in the photos but like a big brother who truly understands. Because in your eyes, even through the tears, I saw something many try to hide, dignity. And that flame that can't be extinguished. He handed her a pen. You don't have to sign right away. Read it. Ask questions. Take your time. Just know this door, it's truly open. Then he turned to Nassim, pulled a small football from under the table and handed it to him. Here, this is for you. You know, there are players with asthma who still play at the highest level. With the right treatment, you can do anything. Nassim hugged the ball like a treasure. His eyes sparkled. Even score at Parc des Princes? Démbélé burst into laughter. Especially at Parc des Princes. As they left the office, folder in hand, Layla felt like she was floating. She had never experienced anything so surreal. In the elevator, she clutched the folder tightly. Nassim, equally silent, held the ball on his lap like a trophy. Once in the car, they sat in silence for a moment. Then Nassim whispered, Big sis, do you think our life is going to change? Layla looked at him. She took a deep breath and smiled softly. I think it already has. Back in their St. Denis apartment, Layla placed the folder on the table and stood there for a moment, just looking at it. Then she picked up her phone and called CARREFOUR. Mr. Leroy? I won't be able to come in for my shift tonight. I have a family emergency. To her surprise, his voice was calm. No problem, Bouaziz. Take the day. He added after a pause. A lady from the Démbélé Foundation called. She said you had an important meeting with them. She froze. They really had called. It hadn't been a dream. That evening, Layla made pasta gratin, the only thing left in the cupboard. Nassim ate without complaining, the football still at his feet. Big sis? He asked, yawning. Yes, sweetheart. Are we okay now? Like, really okay? She paused, fork halfway to her mouth. We've always been okay, Nassim. But now, I think we're going to be better. He nodded, reassured. Then fell asleep the moment she tucked him in, clutching the ball in his arms. One night, one call. Once alone, Layla stepped out onto their tiny balcony. She dialed the number on the back of the folder. Sarah Dubois answered immediately. Hello, Layla. I want to accept, she said without hesitation. I want to join Project Renaissance. Silence. Then a smile in Sarah's voice. Welcome. We'll be expecting you Monday morning at 8 a.m. for your first day of training. Layla stood there in the dark, the phone pressed to her ear, her eyes wet. She felt something she had almost forgotten. Hope. A new beginning. The next month passed like a dream. Layla gave her notice at CARREFOUR. She packed the boxes. On her last day, Mr. Leroy handed her a card signed by the whole team, with a handwritten note. You were one of the best, Bouaziz. Good luck with everything. A new home. Their new apartment, in a clean building 10 minutes from the foundation, felt huge compared to the old one. A real living room. 2 bedrooms. A bright kitchen. Even a small balcony. Nassim ran from room to room. Big sis. There are 2 bathrooms. Layla smiled, arms full of boxes, heart full of gratitude. You can decorate your room however you want, Nassim. And we're getting you a desk. His eyes widened. For homework? For dreaming too. Layla's training lasted 4 weeks. She learned to manage schedules, coordinate teams, and oversee logistics for the foundation's sports and educational events. It was demanding, but she loved it. Her attention to detail, discipline, and adaptability were quickly noticed. Her team leader, Sophie, encouraged her early on. You're adapting faster than most. Keep this up and you'll be eligible for the advanced program. Layla nodded, still barely believing it. Layla from St. Denis, former cashier, in an international foundation. And that wasn't all. The foundation's health coverage fully paid for Nassim's medication. Within weeks, his breathing had improved significantly. He ran at school. Slept without coughing. Even better, he joined the school football club. With real training. Real uniforms. Layla sometimes watched from the sidelines, eyes full of tears. Do you think I can be like Ousmane Démbélé? I think you can be yourself, Nassim. And that will already be amazing. One thing puzzled Layla. No one at the foundation ever mentioned that Démbélé had reached out to her first. She wasn't the boss's favorite. She was just Layla, a respected colleague, a new recruit. Then one day, 4 months after she started, she caught a glimpse of him. He passed through the offices quickly, surrounded by his team. Just before disappearing, their eyes met. He gave her a small nod. A quiet salute. A powerful one. That evening, an email appeared in her work inbox. Subject: Project Renaissance, Phase 2. Some selected employees are invited to join a pilot mentorship program. She read the message several times. A personal invitation without needing to say it directly. She immediately started working on her application. But the next morning, everything changed. Her phone vibrated. Unknown number. Area code: Marseille. Miss Bouaziz? I'm calling from Timon Hospital. Your mother has been admitted following a serious car accident. Layla staggered and sat down, trembling. Is it serious? She's in intensive care. Her condition is critical but stable. Layla remained still for a moment, the phone in her hand. The past and the present had just collided. The next morning, she explained the situation to her supervisor, Marcel. He listened attentively, then simply said, "You're entitled to emergency family leave. We'll see what we can arrange." A few hours later, an email from the foundation arrived. Emergency leave approved, 3 weeks. Salary maintained. €2,000 travel allowance for Marseille. Layla read it several times. She checked her account. The money had already been deposited. Her hands trembled. This wasn't a regular company.